Assalamualaikum everyone. Hope all of you are doing well. So our today's topic of presentation is presentation skills. What it is actually, it's a key to develop a personal speaking style. If you want to become eloquent speaker, addressing to thousands of people and keep them engrossed in your speech, you should make up for your presentation by packing it with enthusiasm, unique and tons of useful content as well as plenty of dumb jokes. So presentation skill can be defined as set of abilities that enable an individual to interact with audience, transmit the messages with clarity, engage the audience in presentation, and interpret and understand the mindset of listeners. It is actually an activity that many of us view with concern is that giving of presentations. Few people feel entirely comfortable standing in front of people and audience to deliver a talk. Even fewer actually enjoyed it. In fact, a survey carried out in America on common fear suggested that fear of speaking in front of group was rated higher than the fear of death. So the simple truth is that a fear of presenting or public speaking can truly stunt your career. Unfortunately, the fear of public speaking is real. It's estimated that up to 75% of population suffers from this condition, otherwise known as glossophobia. Unfortunately, this is very common fear that can translate into missed opportunities and other professional limitations. So why is it so? The reason behind this are very simple. So people fear that public speaking may result in humiliation, embarrassment, or loss of dignity. Even the most adept speakers recognize feelings of fear in anticipation of and during delivery of presentation. However, the key to success is to utilize that fear and to recognize it as a normal, healthy feeling. There is nothing wrong with the feeling. A level of anxiety and in fact learning to harness the energy it produces can help you to perform well. I know it may sound strange, but studies have shown that an enthusiastic speech can win out over an eloquent one. So make sure that you are as enthusiastic and energetic as possible before going on stage. So you should do anything you gives you energy. It might be some song, some drink, talking to some person, having coffee or tea, etc. So you should have high energy level. So the most important thing is to have realistic expectations of ourselves. You always have to prepare yourself on realistic grounds. A few of us possess the ability to perform theatrically or entertain large audience with witty sentences and clever tales. However, giving effective presentation, we don't need or require all these abilities to just give an influential presentation. Clear, competent, plain speaking delivered with an air of confidence will be sufficient. But what actually happens when we speak in front of people or group of people and feel the eyes watching us, we feel painfully visible, like a caveman exposed in daylight. And because our brain is telling us that we are under attack, we do whatever is necessary to protect ourselves. We construct walls between ourselves and the source of danger. In this case, the audience to repel the attack in blood and dangers. So we have to avoid these causes. One ways to work on or operate approach should be realistic. Sometimes it's okay not to come out of your comfort zone because you are already not feeling okay in front of people or speaking in front of people. Styles of presentation will be influenced by the context but also by the person preferred of doing it. So always give the priority to the way you are feeling comfortable in. So which may be developed over time. Remember, however, the quality of many presentation is determined by the work put in before you even began to it. It means it always depends upon your homework which you have already been done before starting the presentation. Now, what is most important thing now is how to deal with that fear. Actually, as we have seen, common fear is that the presentation result in some of disaster, leaving us feeling embarrassed or humiliated. Once explored, however, these fears usually emerge as unrealistic and our imagined worst case scenario is either highly unlikely or not the catastrophic disaster that we think it will be. It means we are still not working on the realistic grounds. So we have some techniques to resolve your anxiety, including the following steps. First of all, remember that when you are preparing, think about your audience. Right before you speak, refocus your brain, and while you're speaking, make eye contact. After that, accept that it is perfectly normal to feel nervous or anxious to some extent. It's pretty healthy, so you don't have to worry about that. Just prepare well. The practice should be on peak. You should have to give your 100% while preparing your presentation. Be realistic. Are your standards too high? Take off the unnecessary pressure, and that comes from negativity and unrealistic thoughts by challenging them and seeking the more rational view. The worst case scenario you imagine is highly improbable, and if a less than positive outcome does occur, it is unlikely to be the end of the world. So use relaxation exercises such as deep breathing. Take deep breaths if you are feeling nervous. Behave as if you are feeling confident. Enter the presentation in a deliberate way. Rehearse your presentation, but also how you'll stand, set out your nose, change your slides, use other nonverbal behaviors to appear confident. Actually, all in all, what you have to do is to just get your hand on practice, attend other presentations, arrive early on the day of your presentation, just adjust your surrounding, just have a meet and greet session with your audience, use positive visualization. Remember that the most audience are sympathetic, or most of them can also be or might be empathetic. So just take deep breaths if you're nervous. Just have a good smile on your face, even if you're not feeling good. But just have it to make you, or just pretend to be a confident person. Exercise, work on your pauses and on your pace. Don't try to cover too much material during your presentation, and actively engage your audience so you can get or grab the attention of the people. And just be entertaining. Use witty language to make people attentive. Admit that you don't have all the answers, so just don't get bothered with that. Use a power stance, drink water, and last but not the least, don't fight with the fear. Just deal it and accept it as it is. The next thing which we have is the planning, that how you are going to plan your presentation, that is planning your presentation. So it can be very helpful that how you plan your things. Number one and thing is that set your objective, your goals, that at the end of the session or the presentation, what your audience is going to achieve and what you are going to get. A simple sentence can be a good means of defining your purpose in giving the presentation and will begin to determine the content. So just try to complete the following sentence. For example, as a result of my presentation, my audience will be able to whatever your goal is. So for example, or we can say that as a result of my presentation, my audience will see their role in interdisciplinary learning more clearly and will understand and be impressed with the value of providing practice placement in this department. So you always have to think about your audience before starting your presentation. So when we start preparing for a presentation, the mistake we all make is starting with the topic. This immediately gets us inside the details and makes it harder to break down and the wall between us and other. So instead, start with the audience. Before diving into the information, ask yourself who will be in the room, why are they there, what do they need. Be specific in your answers and identify the audience needs, both spoken and unspoken, and a graph message that speak directly to those needs. Usually we have two things, a need and a want, but you always have to give priority to the need of the audience. So try and have a basic idea of the size of the audience. Like I said, who they are. Think about that, what they will be expecting from the presentation, but Be realistic about this. So find out what level of knowledge and experience those attended will have about your topic. It means that the pre-knowledge of your audience, so that you know where to aim the material. It means the pre-knowledge of the audience will help you that from where to start from your presentation. Are the audience likely to have any preconceptions or misconceptions about the subject that you need to address and put right? Because we have to differentiate between the two things, the preconceptions and the misconception. So how might your audience use what you have to say? The next thing is you must know in what environment, in what setting you are going to stand. So find out about the equipments, the audiovisual aids which you are going to use or which will be available, your resources that will be available. So check out the location of the presentation, the size of the room to help. It will help you decide on type of sitting arrangements and other facilities for sure. Another thing which you have to remember is just don't try to memorize your entire speech, which can lead to paralysis if you skip over a passage or lose your place. So instead, internalize the structure of your speech. You will be less afraid if you have a roadmap with a guidepost and a general understanding of what you might want to say rather than if you attempt to memorize word for word. So write down the central theme for that of the talk. For example, using the example given point number 1 as we have discussed earlier while discussing the goal or the objective of the presentation, the theme or overall message might be interdisciplinary learning opportunities are vital to student placements, form a valuable part of the work of the department, and each member of staff has an important role to play. So just write your outline. Ask yourself, what are the main points I need to make to get my message across? What supporting information will I need? Where will I get this? How much time will I need? Just structurize your talk and omit the irrelevant details which are just going to extend your discussion without having some important points in it. Another important thing is to develop your visual aids. Remember that the visual aids will help you or will help your audience to memorize their thing with a long-lasting effect. So for example, you will use a flip chart, a whiteboard, PowerPoint, overhead projector or data projector, etc. to clarify or to clear the important points and aid understanding. These things are ultimately are going to clear the concepts of your audience with a clear perception or conception. So do not use too many slides or points. Just keep your things brief because as Shakespeare said, brevity is the soul of thy success. You have to keep your things brief, precise. So and the next thing is just prepare your slides and delivery notes according to the structured outlines, just to make you or to aid yourself. Last but not the least, when you have already planned your things in a good way, just go and deliver your presentation with full enthusiastic and with full confidence. It's very much important.